What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Pound for Pound. I am the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, aka Triple C.
And right now, we are back with a special guest, a man fresh off of his performance at UFC 307, as I like to say, Mr. KHALIL Rountree.
Yo. Excited to be here. Thank you guys for the introduction.
A Shadow Line production.
My man, I'm saying, I feel like you're an LA model, because all them LA models, they just come out the doctor and they straight.
Yeah, just fresh out of the plastic surgeon. No, but before we get this started, Kamaru, I just want to say thank you, bro. I know I wasn't on social media or anything leading up to the fight, but I heard that you were rooting for me. I heard you had nothing but positive things to say, and you were, one of not that many. So I really appreciate it, bro. Like, honestly, it means a lot to me that you were pulling for me.
Oh man, my pleasure. I think it's just honestly, it was the honest truth, and for me, it was me letting the people know that, hey, yes, on paper here right now, this might seem like a long shot, but you're smoking if you think there's not something there, because every once in a while that magic happens, the stars align. Like they say, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And it's just that moment. That's all it takes for you to know that, hey, I am the best in the world, and go out there and do it. So that's taking nothing away from Alex Pereira. Alex is a monster. He's a killer. He's proven that time and time again. But for people to not recognize that you have a shot was what I was just being honest with. Like, guys, let's just be honest here. KHALIL definitely has a shot, and I think you definitely showed that in the fight. You went in there, and those first couple of rounds were very, was iffy. You looked relaxed. And which leads to my first question is, how did you feel in there? Because, of course, it was Salt Lake City. And no matter what people say, at some point, that altitude does get to you. So how did you feel in that fight?
I felt great, honestly. We were up at Salt Lake probably 2 weeks ahead of time to get acclimated. We stayed up in my camp and I stayed up in Park City the whole time. We only came down to Salt Lake for media stuff and to visit the fighter hotel, but we were up at the top the whole time preparing. And even before then, we were doing stuff here at Mount Charleston. So I feel like as far as the altitude and everything went, I felt as good as I could possibly feel. Uh, and when the cage closed, when he was standing there in front of me, the only other thing that I felt was just happiness, man. I felt home. I was just it was such a good feeling riding up all the way up to that moment. I felt good.
Yeah. First of all, Khalil, I just want to say congratulations, man. I will say this: I was I was that team of the non-believers. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise my hand. But what I was able to see in that fight, and particularly those first two rounds, and particularly you being southpaw, Alex Pereira had trouble, dude. You're cocking his head back. A lot of those blitz punches. You were kicking. You were moving. You're making it very uncomfortable. And I mean, it got to the point where during like half the fight, I'm like, no, Khalil, stay in the center, stay in the center, because I always felt like every time Alex Pereira would get you closer to the fence, that's where he's dangerous. That's where he's gonna pop off with that little left hook that he does. So I felt like the more of the movement that you were doing and the more that you were blitzing them, but obviously, I do feel like there's one thing that actually happened with you. I mean, how crucial was that championship round experience? Because I feel like if the same round one and two, you just had to win one more round, survive the next two, you would be the light heavyweight champion of the world. How much did championship experience have to do with this victory?
You know, I like I said, I felt like I was prepared. I didn't really feel my cardio decreasing until he started landing punches. Really, like that. I feel like that's what really took it out of me. Because when he turned up the pressure and when he started landing on me, every time a punch landed, I felt my energy zapping. And like every round, he came out fresh. I didn't expect him to come out with with more pressure every round, and he did. And I think that was like the biggest surprise to me. So, cardio wise, I mean, like I said, I felt like I was good until he started really landing on me, man. And
Yeah, because I feel like partially what he was doing, I started noticing it, which people don't really see it. One, you're a southpaw, so he wasn't kicking you as much. If you're to go right-handed, if you're right-handed, he'd be kicking your leg like from the beginning. But when you're southpaw, he wasn't kicking you that much. He had
yeah,
trouble with straight punches. Seeing that fight as a whole, I feel like a little bit where Alex Pereira did a really good job is really towards the later rounds before he got the finish, he started front kicking your body, and I
yeah,
feel like that, and then he just started attacking your body, and then he kind of started investing a little more in there, man.
yeah. He
Looking back at the fight now, if you were to start from round two to on up, what is it that you would do different?
I think that I would have gone forward a little bit more. I think after I still haven't watched the fight as a whole since it happened, but I did get it was really nice. Like a couple days after the fight, I got some messages from Connor, and it was really cool to get some messages from him. But one thing that he pointed out was that I could have put more pressure. Just like you were saying, like when he was going up against the cage, yeah, he has that left hook. But if I would have been just a little bit more relentless with my pressure, if I would have been a little bit more relentless with my pressure and not backed off so much and retook the center of the cage, I think I would have been able to apply a little bit more damage to him. Uh, so I think like if I were to go back and replay this fight, I'd probably just be a little bit more aggressive, like smart aggressive.
I think that's such a great point that you mentioned because I do remember watching the fight at a certain point, and I'm going, I'm 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 basically stating instructions, and I'm like, no, dude, you got to do this, you got to do this, and I'm like, well, he can't hear me, I'm at home, and for me it was, I feel like they go hand in hand because like you said, turning up the pressure, yeah, that works if you can get to him. And I felt like there was a certain point where you were throwing two punches, you were faster, you had the speed advantage, but you're throwing two punches and you're just missing him. And I think there was at one point where I think was it John Wood, your coach was saying, make it three punches, throw three, something else extra because you're just missing them. And it's just
Yeah,
that maybe that one more punch that you will get to hit him. And I think had you landed that one more punch, that's like money in the bank. That
yeah,
builds the confidence that starts to then you start to grow rather than playing the okay, let me just use the speed and counter punch. You
yeah.
start to put more pressure on him because now you know you can hit him when you put your combinations together.
So correct, man. I think like the three, instead of two punches, three punches. If I would have thrown more like in the four zone, three, four, five, I would have landed more. And as we saw when I was landing, it was doing some damage. So yeah, if I were to go back, I would, like I said, I'd be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah,
I'd throw more shots for
Yeah,
sure.
but yeah, but Khalil, I feel like I don't even think it was more of the punches. I think if you would have broke the level changes or fake just an extra fake in there, I think you were there, man. Like I don't think that extra punch. I don't personally for me.
Yeah, but Henry, we Khalil signed an agreement before with the people. He signed an agreement with the people, and he said, "I'm not changing for nobody. This is how I'm going to fight. This is why I'm here to fight." So, people, listen. If you think I'm just coming in here and I'm gonna wrestle this dude to win this fight, I ain't doing it.
Well,
I'm gonna
he's
bang.
no, I get it. I get it. You still hold the record for zero attempts and takedowns, Khalil. Fuck. You got some balls on you, but you did lose this fight to Pereira. But I don't feel like I feel like if anything, and a lot of people know now that you belong in that top five, in that top three, but what you're able to pull out. I mean, how big of a confidence booster yet losing the fight did this actually give you? Do you believe that next time around you fight a guy like Alex Pereira that you could actually finish him?
you know, I as far as confidence goes, I think that my confidence has been there over the last couple of years, which is why I called for this fight, because I knew that I felt like I could beat him. So the confidence has been there. I think right now the biggest thing coming out of this fight for me is I really feel like now people see me for who I am, and I feel like now the people can have a little bit more confidence in me, and that feels good. That feels good. I think whoever I do fight next at whatever level, uh, I'm gonna continue to get better. Like I'm still hungry, Like I still think that there's so much room for me to grow, especially after this fight. And watching him and how clean his strategy was, and I'm inspired. I'm still inspired. So there's so much room for me to grow, and I think that's gonna help in my confidence moving forward, and whoever I fight next. But yeah, I'm happy where I'm at, and I do believe that I belong here. I belong here in the in the top five, or up there for sure after a fight like this.
Yeah. First and foremost, let's not. I know we're talking to you, but let's not overlook um, Alex Pereira, because I thought it was a systematic kind of breakdown, because you didn't come in there to lay down for him. You made it very, very difficult for him, and he had to turn into just a full on fight IQ on another level, to have to systematically start going outside kick, then going to the body. Then when he started landing shots, and then just slowly kind of, because you were going to stand in front of him for 5 rounds, and
Yeah.
and for him to do that, I just want, once and for first and for once again, I just want to say it's such a brilliant performance. You put up a performance, but the one thing too is I want you to understand that is you do belong, and knowing your story before, and I know a lot was kind of put in there just because of this fight, but having known your story kind of loosely from afar, it's just, how do you feel now on the other side of it? Because I know at some point you said, man, I can get on that billboard one day. That would be cool to be on that billboard, but you never know how it's gonna happen, or if it's gonna happen. You kind of just throw. It's like you just kind of throw it out there, like, I'm gonna be champion, but you don't really know
Yeah.
how it's gonna take place. But then seeing you do the work time and time again, and then seeing you be successful in those fights leading up, which kind of validates that I'm doing the right things and doing the right things, and to where you get that fight, and then you get to see yourself up on that billboard, and you drive by, and you see the big UFC one, and then you drive by and the actual billboard is there. So how do you feel now on the other side of it, knowing the journey that you have been on to get here?
I'm very happy, man. I'm very, very happy, very grateful, and I'm even more motivated now than I've ever been. I think being able to see the billboard and have this opportunity was that first kind of glimpse at this like anything is possible moment. But now that I've seen it happen, and now that I've felt it, now that I've been in there, with the best in the world. Now I'm motivated. Like it feels like this is just the beginning now, and it's so nice because being a Las Vegas guy, this is my home, and now I feel like my city knows who I am, and people know who I am now. So I got a little bit more support, and people rallying behind me, and so it really feels like the beginning, and I'm happy. I just gotta before this fight. I signed a new contract with the UFC, so I got a lot more fights to go, and I'm super excited about it. I've only been fighting now. I started 2010 at 20 years old, so 14 years now, and I got a lot of good years left. I got a lot to learn. Maybe I'll learn some wrestling from Henry and start to take some shots. Like I think the evolution is still there. It's
Maybe
still happening.
Khalil,
So I'm
Khalil,
I'm just very happy.
Khalil, maybe these type of shots, dude. I haven't been haven't been shooting either. But going back, man, and going back and watching your fight, what is that you saw a little bit different, or what separates, or how do you break down a guy like Alex Pereira? You know what I'm saying? Like you being in there, and what do you feel like some of the strengths are that makes this guy dangerous? Because I feel like one of the biggest strengths that I don't think that people overlook is his fucking composure. His composure. You had him hurt a couple times.
Yeah.
I saw his face where he got hurt a couple of times, where he'll go back to that stone face and he'll keep it there, and then you won't. It's almost like you can hurt him early, but if you don't finish him, it almost like he becomes that zombie. He gets so much better. But describe to me being in there for 4 rounds with Alex Pereira. What makes him different?
So just to kind of reiterate what you were saying, when I hit him with that right hook after the high kick that he threw, and it kind of like dropped him a little bit, I saw his eyes too. But yeah, like immediately he went back to stone face, and I was like, oh man, this guy's like a real life like final boss, you know. But I think going in there, I knew that I'd be able to touch him, and that's what we were really like banking on is going in there and being able to connect with them and being smart when we connect. But I think one thing that is pretty underrated and that I got to experience for myself is really his IQ, man. The ability to mix up, the strategy mid fight, in between rounds, because every time round one, round two, I won, but he just kept making adjustments, and I think he made very smart adjustments from like Kamaru said, like kicking the leg and then keeping the body and then throwing the jab and just mixing it up to where like now I'm a little bit confused or off my game, and there was stuff that we really didn't expect. So I'd say the biggest surprise for me was the intelligence. As stoic as he is and kind of stone faced, I really do think that he's got a smart brain for sure.
All right, now question. I know I've been kind of getting some heat back and forth for this and whatnot, but now if you had to, let's say you're on a panel and you had to rank right now, pound for pound, best fighters right now in the world. Now, I know how I feel because obviously I feel that I put Islam up there for a long, long time. And I think 100%, I do think Islam still has more tools in the shed to bring out, to use. But right now, I put Alex, I think, after that performance, because you didn't come in there to lay down for this guy. And yes, people can say what they want. You were number 7 or 8, whatever you were down in the rankings. It doesn't matter, because like I said, opportunity, luck is just when that opportunity meets preparation. And I definitely think you were prepared. And so if you had to go out there and put your vote on the line, who do you think right now is pound for pound?
Uh, I mean, I personally would also have to say Alex. The only other person that I would say, and we'll find out later on in the year, would be John Jones, right? But it's been so long since we've seen Jones fight, and I'm excited to see what version of Jones we get later on. But right now, just based off of what I've seen, based off of performances, level of opponents, things like that, I mean, yeah, I'd say right now for me
Okay.
it would be Alex.
Okay, guys. Well, this is where I'm at to come in here and disagree and bring some of that cringe.
Bring it.
This was the thing, and I will say this, and I, and it's pretty admirable that Kamaru can, because we had this big debate with him like a couple of weeks ago before he fought you, and he was like, dude, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that, we haven't seen his grappling, things like that, and that's kind of where I stand. I mean, when you see a potential matchup between him and a guy like Ankalaev, I mean, will a guy like Alex Pereira? Because I'll be honest with you. I mean, neither one of you guys attempted one takedown in that fight, Khalil. I mean,
Yeah, I
you
know.
guys were pretty much doing striking with little gloves. Kind of what they're doing at one championships. So now, what happens when you get somebody that can mix it? Somebody a big guy too at 205, like a guy like Ankalaev. Like, how do you see that fight happening? How do you see that fight going? And have you ever trained with Uncle X? I know he comes out to Vegas quite a bit.
Yeah, I've never trained. I've never trained with him, but based off of the film that I watch and like even seeing like the type of training that Alex does and the amount of wisdom and stuff that he has in his corner, the people he's surrounded by, I don't think that he's a one-trick pony. I think that he's really good at what he does. And, for me going in there and just striking with him, I don't think that it helped his case for pound, because, yeah, I didn't shoot for a takedown and neither did he. But that doesn't mean that I don't think he can handle it. Like, I really think that he'll be able to handle, pressure from a wrestler like Ankalaev and still get the job done. Honestly, that's my opinion, because I do see that behind the scenes, he's still doing everything it takes to to keep the belt and to be the best he can be, and he's also still growing. So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think that if that fight were to happen, we'll see it, and I think I would still take Alex in that fight.
Really?
Sometimes, and this is the thing, sometimes you just gotta let them hang. You gotta let them hang when you go in there. And that's how I felt when I fought Covington the first time. I'm like, you know what? We just looked at each other, and I think we made that gentleman handshake. Like, all right, let's let him hang. We gonna bang in this fight. And yeah, I think it's Alex's ability to make people fight that type of fight. And I don't, and listen to me, Henry. It's not necessarily that I'm saying, oh yeah, he's the best pound for pound we've ever seen. Right now, I'm saying right now, and I could be proven wrong next month. You know,
Yeah.
if Uncle Live comes in and Uncle Live completely exposes him and does all those things, I could be, of course. Now we're proven wrong that he's not. But I'm saying right now because I can't judge him based on the premises that I am judged on as a welterweight, doing striking and wrestling and grappling and all of these things. So that's where I'm at. But going back to it, Khalil, I think you because looking at your performances leading up, it almost seemed fake with some of the fights because you're hitting guys and you're crushing them and you're walking up. It's almost like you're in a comic book movie. You're walking up with Thor's hammer standing over guys. And it's comical. I'm like, this guy's just playing a video game at some point because he's going in and he's walking through these guys. But now you've gotten all the way to the top and you fought the guy that's at the top. And you saw how that went. So, and I know you said you're very motivated, you're eager to get back. So, what do you think? What is next for you?
I'm not really sure what's next. I know, like right now with this surgery in my nose, everything, I'd imagine that I'm for sure going to take the rest of the year off to let this stuff heal up. Uh, but I'm hoping that at some point I sit down with the UFC and we can discuss that. I'd like to discuss, what it is that they see next for me. I'd imagine and hope that I'd be able to still fight within, the top three, top five, so that I'm not too far away from getting another shot at the title after,
Oh,
a performance like that against Alex. So I'm still looking to fight up,
okay.
for sure. That's definitely my plan. I don't know who exactly. We got these guys lined up now, uh, who are going to fight each other, while I'm healing up, and we'll see how everything plays out. But yeah, in the meantime, between healing and all that, I'll be watching and preparing and talking to the UFC. And
Yeah.
like I said, I hope that they have high hopes for me and give me another shot at somebody at the top so that I could go and run it
Yeah,
again.
but I'm not too sure if you guys saw what Dana White or Dustin Poirier brought it up. I don't know if you guys saw like the 4-man tournament. He says Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, and Dustin Poirier. I feel like there's something. I feel like Dana White is really going to tease it. I think something like that could potentially happen where you're able to do that. I think if you're to be at the light heavyweight division, you're the matchmaker. What's next for Uncle Live, and who's on that other side of the bracket into the top 4?
Huh.
And
Uh
I ain't mad at you, dude. If you want to get into that little bracket, dude, go ahead. But what's next?
well, yeah,
What?
I'm absolutely like the first thing that I'm gonna do is put myself in the
Okay,
bracket.
okay,
that's
okay,
the
but
that's the first move that I'm
you
gonna
against
make.
who? I mean,
Let's
Because it's
Khalil,
my
see.
matchups.
because of your
You know,
performance, Khalil. Like, dude, you could almost ask a little bit. Give me this guy. Give me this sucker. Let me get another crack at Alex.
I mean, at this point, if there were anybody that I would ask to fight, it would be Alex again for sure.
If I
Okay,
had
so
to,
Be like,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
like I think if like if that were if there were
okay, so
anything,
but who's next? Who's truly next for a guy like Alex Pereira? I mean, does he go up
I
to
think
heavyweight, or does he really do his mandatory like everybody else wants to see, and he fights Magomed Ankalaev?
I I would like to see him stay at light heavyweight. I don't really I get it, guys like Henry Cejudo want to be triple champs, triple C's,
Yeah.
but I really like when guys stay in their weight class and just hold it down there. I'm not a big fan of going up and down and holding up the belt and all that. So, I'd like to see him stay at light
Khalil, did you
heavyweight.
see these two belts, dude?
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice for sure. No, but I'd like to see him stay at light heavyweight and just like hold it down and secure his legacy like in this division for as long as he
but
can.
who's next for him? Like, who's next
I
for
would
Alex?
say I would say if Ankalaev wins the next fight, then yeah, he should be
Okay,
next.
so there shouldn't be a thing. You as a light heavyweight, there shouldn't be a debate whether Alex goes down to 185 pounds or Alex potentially fights Artem, his rival nemesis, because the UFC can make anything happen. Or maybe he goes up and fights a guy like he fights a guy like Tam Aspinall, which I think is a terrible idea. But the dude does have power. So you as a light heavyweight, you're saying stay down, slap some people like
Yeah.
Kamaru did, and a lot of these guys, and then go up. Right? It's only fair,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think so. I would say, yeah, stay here. Fight the guys who have been, who've been waiting. And later on down the line, if you choose to move up, move up. But for now, I would just say, yeah, hold it down. Hold it down at 205.
I think, well, like Henry to say, if there was obviously a 4-man tournament there, it would be obviously Jamal Hill, well, obviously Khalil, Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska, and I mean now that fourth one gets a little tricky because you can't forget Jan Blachowicz, and obviously you can't forget Ankalaev as well. So that's where it becomes. I guess you could say maybe we take off Yuri because he's fought Alex twice. I
Twice.
guess you can
Yeah.
say maybe we take him off and then slide in Ankalaev there, and so it's a tricky one. But obviously, what was it? He just fought in the Contender Series, correct? Artem,
Yeah.
did he get the contract?
Yeah, he got the contract.
Okay, so obviously UFC's already on it. they're on it already. They know exactly what
Yeah.
they're doing, and so
But I mean, I think with something like that, I mean, it's congratulations, right, for getting in and through the contender series. But it should take a little bit of time before a title fight or even like a top 15 fight is granted. In my opinion, I mean, there's a lot of guys on the roster, especially in the division, who've been fighting for so long, waiting for their opportunity. And I understand this guy has experience and stuff, but I just think it's maybe it's only fair to it should take a little bit of time. No disrespect, I just think that that's just kind of like my way of seeing it.
no, I agree with you because it's everything. Everything here is earned, not given, and you know that as
Yeah.
much as everyone else. From wherever you started to where you are now, everything is earned. Henry understands that. I understand that as well, and obviously Artem or someone like him obviously understands that because obviously he has a high caliber of everything that he's done in his career that has been earned. So just coming in and getting that fight right away would seem a little unfair to the guys that have been there. But at the same time, we have to understand that this is an entertainment company. This,
Yeah, for sure. Just like people may argue that I'm number 8 and blah blah blah, But I think one thing to kind of back up that argument is, although people are finally starting to realize who I am after 5-fight win streak, I've been with the UFC now almost 10 years. So like, you know what I mean? So like when it comes to like paying dues, I mean, yeah, I think I've paid a lot of dues as far as, you know, just being here and having to grow up in the UFC, coming in with only 4 fights. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely hard work that needs to go into opportunities for sure.
All right,
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm
well,
gonna
well,
make a confession. I'm gonna make a confession here. Like I said, I've loosely, because at one point I was like so immersed in the game to where I knew everyone who's fighting, how they fight, what's going on, and I knew I was really on it. And this is right up into becoming champion, because at that point all you have to do is just study. You just go to the gym and back. No one's calling me for I have to fly here, do this interview, do that, do this. No one. So I'm really immersed in it. And I remember, because you were on the Ultimate Fighter, and I
Yeah.
remember you coming out, and I remember, I think one of your early losses, I believe was a loss, was a kid named Eric Spicely or something. Did you fight?
Uh, I
You
didn't
didn't
fight
fight?
Spicely. He was on the opposite team on the Ultimate Fighter.
Okay, he was on
I lost to his friend Andrew Sanchez.
Sanchez, right? You lost to Sanchez, and I remember going, all you have to do is take this guy down. Just take this guy down. If you go in there and just take this guy down, you could beat this guy. And I remember
Yeah.
watching that, going, yeah, you can beat this guy. And then I remember it was a couple years ago, watching you just melt someone, and I'm like, oh no, he's yeah, you got to eat one of them before you come in and grab a leg. Like, oh, and his takedown defense is improving, and he's getting better and better and better, to where I remember going, okay, this is a guy that's been doing work, that has been doing work in all aspects of the game, and is improving. I'm curious to see where he gets to. Fast forward to last week, where we're going, and he's fighting for the title. And I remember watching, I'm like, okay. And that's obviously what led me to make that. I'm like, if you guys are crazy if you think this guy doesn't have a chance, because I've seen the work. I remember him coming in to where even myself was going, all you have to do is take this guy down, and you'll be
Yeah.
able to potentially get him. But, you know, hats off to you. I see the work that has been done, and Henry and I definitely know that, like we just said, you know, if there is a tournament, oh, you definitely have proved that you belong in that top four to be in that tournament. So, you know,
Appreciate it, man.
anxiously waiting, and we want to know we want to see where you're going to get to next. I think it's definitely going to be a fun fight, because you've definitely showed everybody that, hey, I'm a force to be reckoned with in that light heavyweight division. So, Khalil, man, hats off to you. I know you didn't necessarily get the result that you wanted, but your story's inspiring, because you inspired a lot of people with everything that you've done. Because as human beings, I think the thing with us is we're very, very resourceful, and we're very, very intelligent being. We just have to make that decision on what we want to do, and then we just have to go chase it. So I think you proved that. And I just want to say hats off to you, my man. Congratulations once again. I know you didn't get the result, but you definitely opened everyone's eyes.
I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, everything you said, it means a lot to me. It's what I'm working on. Just being able to show people who I am, be authentic to myself, and go out there and put on exciting fights for the world for as long as I can. So yeah, man, everything you said, I take it in, and I thank you.
And now, thank you to our special guest, Khalil Rountree. Man, good luck.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
let's give a quick shout out to our partners at Underdog Fantasy, the best place to play fantasy sports. Their pick'em game is easy as choosing higher or lower on a variety of player stats like significant strikes, takedowns, and knockouts.
That's right, Henry. Underdog is hooking it up every day of the week with daily promotions and pick'em specials to help you win up to 1,000x your money. For Thursday Night Football today, all new users will get a Brock Purdy free pick. The 49ers QB only needs a 1-yard completion for you to win.
Underdog is available in 30+ states, including California, Texas, and New York. Use code P4P when you sign up to support the show. Click the link down below to get started.
All right, Henry. We just had our man Khalil Roundtree Jr. on, and I mean, for a man just getting done with the biggest fight of his career, I like where his head's at because it shows that now it's sometimes you need that little extra oomph to motivate you, to let you know that you belong at the top of that division. And I think this is something that's probably going to propel him into just becoming that full-fledged mixed martial artist and go out there. And I think this is a guy that we might be seeing here in the next year and a half challenge for that title
Yeah, no,
again.
first of all, I think, yeah, did he lose a fight 100%? But you can tell too, though, like he became a fan favorite that night. He really did, man. The fact that, I mean, he went out on his shield, and typically when people, I never really understood that saying. You go out on your shield. I'm like, no, you go out on your damn sword. But really, back in the day, the reason why they say shield is because they used to carry your ass. You're dead, so they used to carry you back to your townspeople, and then they would celebrate you. So, do I believe that Khalil won points with the crowd? Yes. Do I believe Khalil could still get so much better, even though he's been doing MMA for 14 years? 100%. I think Khalil needs to learn some takedowns. I think he needs to learn some top control and start hurting people because physically, he's not as tall as the rest of the light heavyweights, but he's big. And I think if he's able to really hone in on some takedowns and some good top control, he's he's an excellent coach, man. And I remember John Wood coaching us back in the day when I did my first Ultimate Fight. He really brought that aspect of mixed martial arts. Like it's not Muay Thai, it's not boxing, it's mixed martial arts. We have to be able to adjust to that. But I think overall, man, I think there's a confidence booster to him. There's a really nice, genuine guy in a guy like Khalil. Um, and I personally feel that if he and he said it, Alex Pereira did a really good job of chopping him down. He started once he saw that Khalil was a southpaw, he didn't kick as much. So he took away his leg kick, but then Alex was making adjustments, and that's just championship experience. So I feel like if Khalil can get another 5-round set, I think it'll make him that much better to get ready and to potentially fight Alex Pereira once again.
Oh yeah, I think it's 5 rounds is 100% in the question. When you get out of a fight like that and you really make it kind of look like that, you make a claim for yourself that you belong in these championship level fights. I mean, I think Khalil Roundtree is definitely in store to be headlining some fight nights here really soon. Him and Jamal Hill, that's a main event. Him and Yuri Prohaska, that's a main event. Him and Jan Blachowicz, that's a main event. Him and Rakic, that's another main event. So I think he's
I
definitely
like
put
that
himself.
Jamal Hill fight. When you mentioned that, I was like, fucking dig into that. I like that Jamal
Yeah,
Hill fight for him. I think Jamal
yeah,
likes that fight. I think he likes that fight, and I think it gets him that much closer to fight for the belt once again. That's all he has to do, Kamaru. You beat a guy like you
I
beat
agree.
Jamal Hill. Maybe Alex beats whomever. Alex at this point has leverage. He's like, hey, you know what? I deserve that guy. And I think I think they can
Absolutely.
run
I
it back.
think
I'm not opposed to it. I was a guy that wasn't so done ho about it because of Khalil's takedown attempts. He's never attempted, not even as attempted, not even one time, even after fighting a guy like Alex Paredes. But did he put on a show 100%? Could he potentially beat and knock out Alex Pereira? He has the potential, Kamaru. He has the potential.
I mean, I think so. I think, yeah, like a 4-man tournament. I'm thinking right now, him, Jamal Hill, uh, Jan Blachowicz, and you throw in Ankalaev in there. I think that 4-man tournament is a banging tournament, and I think winner gets Alex Pereira.
Well, it
I
depends.
like it.
So do you like what Dustin Poirier proposed to the UFC? I think that's a great idea, bro.
Absolutely, I think it's a great idea. Now the only issue is during what span do we do that? Do we do that in one night?
You talking about for the BMF? I
Yes.
think fuck that would even be better, but that's unrealistic, dude. If it was
No, no.
Pride, back in the day, talking about fighting twice, dude, I would love that because then you would really find out who the real BMF is, like truly, you know.
It's not unrealistic. I think it's Henry. We can do whatever we are gladiators. If we want to fight 2 times in one night, we mentally know we're fighting 2 times in one night, so we know how to prepare.
But this is what I'm going to tell you. You know what's going to happen is because it is 2 fights, and you know that you have to win the tournament. You're going to wind up wrestling your first fight and then throw out the kitchen sink. So no, I disagree, and I feel like, but if they do have both of these guys, both whether Gaethje fights Dan Hooker and then Poirier runs it back with Max Holloway, I think that shit's perfect. You put them on the same night. I don't even think you need a title fight. I think both of these fights could really turn into a big ass pay-per-view. So I like where this is going. I hope Dana's able to put up some of these tournament formats like the Super 6 in boxing, or a little bit of what Bellator was doing with the $1 million deal. I think that shit is absolutely fire.
Question from a casual this week: if you had to create a 4-man bracket in your division, who would it be? Who would be in that 4-man bracket?
My division.
I'll go first. Let's see. If I had to create a 4-man bracket in my division right now, now here's the question: are we including the champions, or are we not including the champions? That's
maybe don't include them.
Okay, so we don't include the champions. So the winner of the 4-man the tournament fights for the title. So right now, let's say in my format, my bracket would be myself, Shavkat. I would put JDM in there, and I would put, I guess, Leon.
Okay, you were gonna throw in Bug Nasty in there.
Leon, if you wanna just do that for the sake of it, then do you put Buckley over Ian Gary?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's good.
Do you put him over Gilbert Burns? Do you put him over Covington?
Yes.
Do you put him over Sean Brady?
Oof, that's good. All right, I just ate it. You're right. You're 100% right, because you forget about Sean Brady. You forget how stacked 170 pounds is. All right, I guess for me, right. Yeah, you would have to put obviously, but he's already fighting for the belt. So if you exit out Marab, and because Umar's got the next fight, so we already know that for sure.
You have to. This is the champions are sitting on the side. Okay. You have to create a 4-man bracket.
So I would put Umar. Obviously, I definitely have to put myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get a piece of that. You would have to go Sandhagen, and then I would probably maybe see the winner of Jan and Figgy. You know.
What about the previous champion?
Oh, Sean. Oh, I forgot his name. Sure. So I would put me and Sean on one bracket, and then I would put Umar, but then he's already fought Sandhagen on the other side, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely want a piece of. So I would go Sean, myself, Sandhagen, and Umar. You know?
Okay. All right. I like it. But yeah, my man, that is our question from a casual. If we had to do a bracket, a 4-man bracket, that is our question from a casual this week. Make sure, guys, as always, send your questions, because we just might be picking your question next to answer. And as always, make sure that you like, make sure that you comment, make sure that you subscribe. That was a fantastic interview we just had with my man Khalil Rountree Jr. And as always, I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, a.k.a. Triple C.
And we are out.